morning, traders. I'm Dennis Dick.
And I'm Joel L. Connon. Welcome to Premarket Info.
Lots of stuff happening here. The overall market is actually selling off a little bit here this morning. We've been in such tight range, so when you see a 5-point sell-off, we get all excited for a little extra volatility. We may go down and test that key support area we've been talking about in the mid-1390s. We'll talk about earnings from Pandora, TiVo, and Ciena. Lyondell is replacing Sears Holdings. Sears Holdings out of the S&P 500. And we'll also talk about some key technical levels in your S&P 500 individual components. And we do have same-store sales Thursday. Target, Macy's, The Gap already reporting.
Yeah, down a whopping 5.5 points in the pre-market. Couldn't hold settlement and pressing down on the 1400. Is it time to say goodbye to the 1400 handle?
We might say goodbye for a few minutes, but I gather that we may revisit it here again, even if we do say goodbye. Every time we've gotten to the mid-1390s, we've bounced. If you look back to just even 5 days ago, we had that huge bounce off 1395 where we ran up on I think that was the Friday, wasn't it? Where we had that huge
last
run.
Friday.
Yeah, last Friday. And then we haven't been back to the 1400s since. So, but you've got to think we've had multiple. How many times have we bottomed here in the 1390s in the last month?
When I wrote about it on the weekly outlook, it was like 8 of the last 13. So we haven't been down there since last Friday.
Yeah.
But just looking at the chart, you can see it. But we're discussing on the before we got on the air about why this market just isn't taking off, and then we've discussed several stocks. We have just seen some huge institutional sell orders.
We have seen some big institutional sell orders in here, and I think the institutions are taking advantage of these lower ranges, thicker. Whenever they get this smaller range, high-frequency traders are even more competitive, so they're bidding more competitively, and you can actually liquidate a little bit of size into this market right now. When you're bouncing around 15, 20 S&P points every day, it's hard to liquidate a piece. But when you're stuck in these 1-2 point ranges all day, the institutions can sell some bigger lots, and we are seeing some bigger sellers, even like in Citigroup, where you've seen somebody bid for that 1 million shares there the other day, and then all of a sudden another institution comes in and whacks them. So it's funny, here we are talking, it's very hard to liquidate, but right now in this market in the last few days, it's been okay to liquidate some stock.
Yeah, they have absolutely, the high-frequency traders have actually no care about where the market's going long-term. They just like to identify the large orders and create as much trading activity as possible around those orders. So, for example, if there's a big order like in 89 in ExxonMobil, they want to press it up there as many times as they can so they can sell it against it. They'll buy it back a nickel or 6 or 7 cents lower. They don't care. They want to push it back up there again so they can trade against it. And they don't care. They don't care where the market goes long term.
And there is somebody, like they keep pressing it higher, but there's some institution or somebody that keeps dumping it up there too, because look at that ExxonMobil, 88.30, it's 1, 2, 3, 4 times it's kicked around up there and into the high 88.20s, and it's sold off every single time. That whole area is starting to become major resistance.
Yeah, and just along the lines of that stock, check out Wells Fargo. I mean, does someone have an algo selling this thing at
Probably.
34 and a quarter? I mean, you don't get 5 highs there, just by happenstance. I mean, there's someone trying to liquidate a large amount of stock. The stock traded at a multi-year high on the night trading day. And it will just be interesting to see whether or not these institutions are seeing something in the market that perhaps the retail traders and the day traders are missing.
There's definitely some sellers here too. Obviously there's buyers, but there's also sellers, and you've had this basically this whole tight range here. It's just a battle between the longs and the shorts. Some people are probably nervous, thinking September comes around, that there's going to be some more problems maybe materialize over in Europe here, pre-election jitters. There's a lot of things to possibly worry about. So you do have some people that are taking some money off the table. But you know what, Joel? The market always likes to climb a wall of worry. So I'm not giving up on this market from the long side until we can breach that 1388 area that we had talked about and I've highlighted here on the chart.
You know what I'd worry about, and they're not mentioning it very much, and we'll talk about it more tomorrow, but why isn't Draghi going to Jackson Hole? I mean, he's the big guy with the big European solution. Everything's okay. He's going to pull everybody together. I would like him to come out and explain exactly what his plan is. I think that's an ominous sign for the market.
Yeah. Well, it could be. It's hard to say what the ominous signs here are, but you definitely, like you've been pointing out, some institutions are looking here and they have been dumping some stock. So whether that's a tell of where we're going or not, very hard to say. We better move on, though, or we're never going to talk about anything else here. We do have a few earnings here. Pandora Media, Joel, P, trading up significantly here in the pre-market. They reported no earnings against estimates of losing 3 cents, and they raised guidance just a little bit, but they're still supposed to lose money for the entire year. But the stock is trading up $11.69 right now after closing at 10.08. Look at these couple tops here in this 12 area. Back in June, we got as high as 12.11, and then back in May, we got as high as 12.30. So I'd look up to that area. If the rally continues, this whole 12, just getting above 12, could provide some nice resistance.
Yeah, this is your whole. I guess you couldn't call it social media, but media stock here, internet IPO. It's
Fits into
opened
that
up.
whole category. I would
Yeah,
place it on the
yeah,
Singas,
okay.
and I'd
Failed internet IPO category. Should we make up our own? Yeah, I know. Don't say anything about Facebook. But anyways, this stock is getting a real nice pop in the pre-market. We did get up to 11.90. When you're just looking at a chart, easy technical analysis here. You see those couple highs over $12, one at 12.30, and also at 12.11. Pre-market high in that area. Boy, you just have to think that you're starting to get into that gap area. It's got to be a few sellers there. So all the people that were bottom fishing, protecting that $9 level, here's a nice return on your stock. If it gets above 12, 12 and a quarter, a lot of room to run on the upside. But I would not be surprised to see some pretty good selling going on at $12.
TiVo reported earnings here too. Here's another one that had formed a nice base in June and July, has been running up and actually continuing the run up a bit this morning. They beat on estimates, but they're losing money too. They lost 23 cents against estimates of losing 24 cents. But Stevie A. Cohen putting a stake in there, 5.18% SAC Capital raises their stake to. So I think that's probably what's even giving it more of a lift. People like to follow what Stevie A. Cohen does.
1028 is where we hit in the pre-market. Now just
Whoa.
having major consolidation here at the 975 level. It looks on a daily chart that you're breaking out above 960 here, so use that as a swing level. Breaks below 960, the rally is over. And then looking at the charts, go back to May here, and you had all those highs at around the 10 and a quarter level, 1017.
Yep.
1013, 1028, 1016. I'd keep a real close eye. In fact, that coincides with the pre-market high too of 1028. That area, that they're not going to get through that in one day. That's a lot of stock for sale there.
Sienna reported earnings here too. It's like the day of companies that lose money reporting. Sienna lost 4 cents. They were only supposed to lose 2 cents. They're murdering the stock, actually. It's down 10%, trading at $15 right now after closing at 16.72. We're taking out that low that we made in August of 15.21. Where's this one heading?
Well, it's kind of pretty volatile here. We came down and just got under the $15 level not too long ago, and then someone got a little excited on the buy button there, drove it back up to the closer to 16. I don't think we're going to see that again today. Just kind of scraping the bottom around here at 15. That coincides with the low that you had in this stock under $15, $14.91 on July 26. I'd keep a real close eye on that level. If it comes down there again, it will look for support. Coming back on the upside, like I said, it got near 16 again, but sure, that just looked like just a little bit of a bounce, and if it gets that way again, look for resistance at 16.
Sears Holdings out of the S&P 500. They gave it the boots. Lyondell LYB is taking its place. What do you think, Sears Holdings? Finally, they kicked that thing out of the S&P 500.
I think they should just kick it off the entire exchange. I mean,
Not a Sears fan? Not a you don't shop at
oh man,
Sears?
I can't even. Eddie Lampert. I mean, this guy is just worked magic with this stock and keeps pouring more money into it. Now he's underwater here. We've hit 54.67 in the pre-market. Was holding the $55 area. Now that's where we're trading. So look for consolidation around 55 here. You have a low below that at 53, or excuse me, at several lows at 53.67 and 53.70. That could be another area of support. But you got to imagine when this kind of news hits, I mean, people don't immediately sell Sears and buy Lidell. I mean,
They are today because
well, yeah. Look at the
you
volume.
get the arbitrage. You get the players that are just buying it obviously because they know that that the indexers will have to sell this so that they move it. They move it right now. Like Lyondell, look, it's up at $49 now too. So LYB is a symbol on that one. That thing 50 looks big on that one though.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, wow, it really had a nice formation there at 49.87 and 49.96. So could be some people are going to take advantage of this app. They don't care whether it goes in the S&P or 500 or not. They want to sell it at $50. Or they might take advantage of this opportunity.
We do have DuPont's in the news. It's selling its car paint business to Carlyle Group for 4.9 billion, which Carlyle Group is symbol CG. But DD actually getting a little lift on it here. I know we're down 5 in the S&P, and DuPont's actually trading up 30 cents.
Yeah, it hit 50.31 in the pre-market. Not much volume is traded. You have a double top at that stock at 50.49 and 50.51. Look for resistance here. I mean, this stock is like watching paint dry here over the last couple of days. So just keep an eye on that 50-50 level.
Yeah, and it's just CG real quick because they are the acquirer. It hasn't even made a trade here, though, so I'm not sure if this is going to move on this news or not. But that's had a nice March here since June.
Hell
Just
yeah,
steady uptrend here. Like, trend is your friend, so if this thing pulls back today, sometimes you see the company that's buying the business sometimes sell off. Pulls back that 25 area, you'd be at the bottom of the trend again. Maybe the trend continues to remain your friend here.
You got a seller poking around at 26 in this?
Yeah, no, it does look like it. I don't see anything, but you have the 25.95. I see the three tops you're talking about.
Yeah, that's really the only reference point you have here in Carlisle Group.
Same-store sales, believe it or not, they're reporting August same-store sales a couple days early here. We had Target just report TGT. It actually hasn't traded much. It's kind of bounced up. It actually had a trade up to 64.90. Has pulled back now, just traded 64.03. Seems like always, somebody buys up, gets a little excited, and then it ends up coming back. I mean, they bought it up. They had that high from 64.99 just a couple weeks ago. Somebody bought it right up to that high, but it's selling back off now.
Yeah, got to keep a close eye on that. 64.99, as you said, it did get there in the pre-market. Target seems to be doing pretty good.
Macy's also reported earnings here, and actually it's doing okay here this morning too, trading up just a little bit. These are all on very light volume though, like we've said to you guys in the past. When you have this light of volume, it's hard. It doesn't really validate the move, so really just because it's trading up on a few hundred shares or 2,000 shares in the pre-market an hour before the open doesn't mean that's where it's going to trade in the regular session or that's where it's going to hold in the regular session. But Macy's is looking a little bit stronger here this morning.
That stock's just been climbing the wall there,
It
hasn't
has.
it?
Look at that trend here. Yeah, I know, it's crazy.
Wow, that is you know what, that I'll even let you draw a trend line.
I just did
that.
for you there.
Yeah, because that's one trend line that when and if it's broken, I would just head for the hills. I mean, that is just one steep trend line there. We hit a high at 40.80 yesterday. Trading in the pre-market, you got just a spotty high at 40.94. Probably you don't have a real good reference point, but you probably got some sellers kicking around 41. 41.19 was the May 7th high.
GPS, the Gap also reported same-store sales, and it's trading up a little bit too. So so far so good with the same-store sales. This stock traded up to $36 right when it released them. Again, coinciding. It's funny how these pre-market moves they coincide with the old highs so many times. 36.03 and 36.23 were the highs from the 17th and 20th, and this stock got right up there, kissed just under there at 36. Now trading 35.50.
Yeah, I actually have a few trades at 36.45, so it got a little bit overzealous. But boy, what if I take a look at this chart here, and I am just looking at the last 3 days of ranges, basically 35 to
Yeah.
35 and a quarter. I mean, there is someone wants out here at 35 and a quarter, and these tight ranges are just, boy, you're going to get a move off this stock, and lo and behold, if we break through 35 here, you could finally get a correction in Gap stores.
That is crazy consolidation. Well, it looks like we're breaking out here this morning, though. So if it obviously opens over that whole 35.30 area, maybe this area now provides you some support. So, but we're still a ways from the open. We are trading a little bit of size here, though. Look, a 9,800 share print just went off at 35.50. So we're trading a little bit of size at this 35.50 level. We wanted to highlight a few levels for you guys in this tighter range. I know you were talking about Apple earlier with me saying this whole 670 area is key for the stock to hold.
Yeah, a 5 day range, a 6 day range, and a 7 day range for the last 3 days after the unbelievable Samsung news. You think this thing would be breaking out to 700 by now? Yeah, you're getting consolidation, couple days of lower volume yesterday. I think this whole 60, 70 level, long-term investors trying to protect some profits in Apple, that would be the place that to look at if it breaks 670. And it just seems like when it rallies up, even if it gets above the previous day's high, you have to use that level as a point to short, perhaps if it goes back down through it, because obviously it's very hard to make money shorting the stock as it's going straight up.
Google, though, had a heck of a run and a breakout yesterday. We were talking about that 680 level being critical. It broke out, a nice breakout for Google. That's how far do we have to go back? That's a nice breakout there. I go back, is that a 2010 level? No, even farther than that.
And now you go further in that.
2007.
I got 2008, back in that cold January of 2008. That stock hit 697.37. Has been able to just hang up in this area for the last few days. Don't stand in its way, but man, this thing has just had a heck of a run and just continues. I look at the chart. You look at yesterday's high, 88.99. Use that as a reference point if you're trying to protect profits on the downside. The highest low of this move has been 676.15. So keep an eye on that on the downside.
This is one of those classic setups where you can get a stock that's really relatively strong. You can get a pullback in the overall market and it might give you a chance to pick a stock like this. Not saying I shall trade Google, but if you're interested in it, 680 is a big level on this thing, was the major resistance. Maybe that becomes support now, and we're at 685. So if the market does continue to pull back here a little bit, maybe you could get a shot at buying this thing in the low 680s.
I don't think I'd want to buy in the 680s.
You're scared.
I'll buy in the 580s.
I'll buy in the 580s. You're going to be waiting a while to buy in the 580s. But if you want to play that breakout, if you think the breakout's going to be real and not a fake out, I don't know. It's not a bad setup there.
And just looking at, you're talking about technical formations and stuff. That stock closed very strong on Tuesday, up at the high of the day, 77 and a quarter with a 77.62 high. Then it opened right in that area, and as soon as it got through there, boom, really took off. So using, the opening ranges sometimes can help in stocks. And on the flip side, you have a stock like Wells Fargo who closed on its low of the day, exact print low of the day, and you're getting some follow through in the pre-market. So a lot of times interesting setups can be found by looking at stocks that close at or near its high or low of the day.
You wanted to highlight the IBM support area too. Like when we're pulling back, we always like to give you guys support and where the stock may possibly be heading. I mean, you're right. This critical level here is 194.20. Critical for the stock to hold. It hasn't traded any trades here in the pre-market. It is offered down just slightly with the overall market. But if you didn't hold that 194.20, Could open up a
Yep.
bit.
Yep, that was a low last Friday, and I kissed it the other day when it got to on Tuesday 194.50. Looking at that area as major support. If it takes that out, you do have that pesky bottom there at 193.02. But I don't know about you guys, but I don't like to see a stock break through support and drop a buck and a half. So that's what we're looking at in IBM.
Got a couple of these just to finish the show. We do have a couple of these Canadian banks in the news here today. Bank of Nova Scotia, which is one of your bigger banks in Canada. There's only like 6 of them up there. Bank of Nova Scotia is buying ING Canada. So it's not buying the whole company ING, but the Canadian operation. And that's why ING is trading up here in the pre-market at 746 from 718. But the Bank of Nova Scotia, which is symbol BNS, is actually trading down. Well, it hasn't traded, but last night it was trading down in the 52 handle. They actually, when they announced the acquisition, they announced that they're doing a secondary offering to finance it at $52 Canadian, which is about 52.50 pending the exchange rate US. So that whole area now becomes like the magnet, because we know these secondaries all often have like the magnet that comes down to those trades. And you can see last night it was trading at 52.72. But last time this company did a secondary was just last year, and I remember it bouncing off of that level too. So, and there is some technical formations there too. We're taking, if you look at that low 52.74, so you could argue that too, Joel.
Yeah, Bank of Nova Scotia here, definitely having a little volatility in the pre-market. We'll just have to keep an eye on that level. Also, just looking at the European banks, because you just mentioned ING
Yeah.
here. It looks like these things are just like it's another one of their dead cat bounces here. That's the ING traded well under $6 back in July. Now you had a rally to 750. And now it's looking kind of tired.
Yeah.
Deutsche Bank, when we wrote it off, when it got under 30 back in that same time area, now you've kind of had a rally here almost up to the $35 level, and it's looking like it's just
Tired.
looking tired.
You're
It's
right.
looking tired.
Yeah.
So if you're looking for a driver, to crush our market, maybe it'd be another percentage drops in the European banks.
That's our show here for today. Obviously, keep an eye. We're going to continue to highlight this range for you. When the S&Ps have gotten into the 1390s, the mid 1390s, they have found buyers. We're at 1403 right now, but if we continue today's sell-off, just look for that area for support. I've drawn it here on the chart here for you, and that area has continued to provide us some support. That's our show for today, folks. We'll be back with you guys.